I'm so sick of that message. Alright, well anyway. So here we go again. What are we fighting? I see Lua, I see Choux, I see Apocalypse Ravi. So, I don't normally see a team like this too often, so I decided to play very, very safe. Now, how did I decide to play safe? Well, we have the #1 light bait for a Ravi, which is Doris. And then we have Alencia, who is basically the bane of any HP scaler in the entire game because of how absolutely busted Injury is. I still cannot believe to this day that Injury has no counter. It just doesn't have a counter. So right there, Choux's already taken one very solid hit from Injury, and she's lost like 30% of her damage, just straight up. So now that I've done that, yeah, Choux really not looking so scary. So I'll just do one more big heal up onto Doris, and congratulations, we've straight up won the game. Because all we have to do here is we're going to S3 here, then we're going to gain a huge CR boost, 50%, and then we'll just hit into either the Choux or the A Ravi again. I forget what I do. I probably straight up kill the Choux. Because as soon as she's done, then I can just focus on A Ravi, and whenever she's injured, the whole fight's over. So, yeah, I appreciate what this guy was trying to do, because Lua on any team is honestly kind of scary. But Lua does have a very, very particular weakness, and that is if you can properly bait Lua with any means of, like, a character with absurd ER, which is exactly why Christy is there. So I'm rocking Alencia and Christy so that I can have Doris be the bait. So he's already primed himself to have Doris be the main target of every enemy. Lua's always going to hit Doris, Choux's always going to hit Doris, and ML Ravi is always going to hit Doris. So as soon as I injure the Choux, the cracks are already starting to form. And then as soon as Choux is dead, then I can just start injuring a Ravi, and this person is already lost. Like, yeah, we're 25 turns in, and yeah, you guys can probably already see the writing on the wall. The A Ravi can deal absolutely no damage. The Lua is not a threat because my Doris does have ER on her, so she's at like what, 190 or something ER, and then you add on Christy's excessive ER, so that's an additional 100. Yeah, okay, if you manage to break through that ER, then hey, you deserve it. Like, that's the one way I'd look at it. But yeah, that's pretty much this. And then this is where some of the souls are really handy as well, because you can use those on Alencia. And because, like, Crimson Seed just straight up no longer exists, like, I don't think I ever see Crimson Seed ever anymore. And as well, even if I did, it wouldn't even be effective. So, like, A Ravi has a huge, massive weakness now of you can easily control her, or you can just straight up kill her with some kind of debuff. Now, this is usually, like, my go-to team anytime I'm seeing, like, some Ran, or probably, like, a Savior Adin, something like that. I usually go Unbound Knight, Arowell, and Ed to go into, like, first turn shenanigans horseshit. And I brought Roana strictly because, well, I mean, whenever you're playing Ed, you genuinely have no idea what your RNG is going to be. You could straight up resist the debuffs on turn 1. Or you could just straight up get some garbage debuffs on the S2 that you give to them. Thankfully, I got two really, really powerful ones. I got Silence and I got Provoke. So Roana is actually not very useful here. She was basically just brought in as a security blanket. Because if the Senya could attack, then, like, yeah, she can do an S3, possibly hit Ed, give debuffs, then I can hit her back and forth. She has counter, I could hit her, get extra health back. That's the reason why Roana was there. And if the Mercedes ever popped off with even one Magic for Friends, bam, everybody's going to be back to full HP. That was generally the strategy that I was going for here. But because my RNG is actually really, really good in this fight, I don't really have anything to worry about. So I'm just going to use this time to go into Senya, kill her, because I got really, really lucky in the start. The Mercedes did almost nothing. Killed her twice really, really quick. And yeah, Roana was just there as a safety net. Absolutely not necessary. You could have probably brought any healer into this, but that's why Roana was here. She was just the safety net. So right here, we managed to get she gets an S3 off, and she hits Edward. Which, oh no, how horrible. But because it was Rand's turn right there, we almost got another opportunity to do a second S2, because whenever Ed gets his turn, his S2 refreshes. So I could have taken that time to, while he was provoked, hit Senya, and then she hits back into him, and then he counters again. I've done that a few times. Ed is just an incredible unit. I can't believe whenever he first came out. Okay, when he first came out, he did have problems, and the problem was that he was easy to control because he would only cleanse one debuff, and then you could kind of just like, you could really troll him with things like stun. But now that they've like a week after he came out, they gave him a buff where he will continuously cleanse, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't do what we were wanting. We wanted him to be able to just do his S2, like, right here. Oh, yeah, he should just do his S2 again, right? It's like, nah, I'm kind of glad he doesn't, because honestly, that's a little bit ridiculous. But hey, that's the end of the first match. Fun. Now, a lot of things happen here. So, the obvious and very easy solution to the issues that you're about to see come up is, instead of bringing Mascot Hazel, just bring in any Aureus unit. But the reason I bring this unit, I brought in Green Celine strictly to kill Summertime Iseria. I refuse to fight that fight. I'm not doing it ever again. And right here I'm contemplating what I should do, because the Ran hit into Spirit Eye, but I remembered my Mascot Hazel has Touch of Rekos, and because she has Touch of Rekos, this should not kill. And it didn't. Look at how close that is. 171. I was a little afraid it wasn't going to work because she had Stigma, and to those of you who may or may not remember what Stigma does, it just reduces like the healing effects and the CR bonuses that you gain. It almost never comes up because Stigma's kind of a retarded debuff, but either way, now that we've gotten through that portion, the match is over. Case in point. Damn, Ravi, you looking kind of dead. Your turn, Ran. Feels good. And now, this, I believe, is just typical. I think it's Conqueror Lilias, Senya Choux. Yeah, it is. So, you guys have seen this 1,000 times. Basically, the general strategy that you should really have if you're ever going into a Conqueror Lilias Senya Choux, kill the Choux. As soon as the Choux is dead, the entire team falls apart. The Choux is the only reason that you even have to fear this team. Now, I do get like a lot of people who say things like, "Oh, I mean, you complain about Arunka a lot. Why don't you just bring Alencia into this?" Well, you are correct. I could bring Alencia in instead of Arunka, but this right here is the main reason why you don't want to do that. Well, you can do it. It just, I find it takes a little longer, and Arunka is a little bit faster than using Alencia. It's because of Senya. If Senya is there, and you're probably going to get provoked, and you're also going to get blinded, which is annoying. So, like, then at that point, you're not using Shadow Knight Pyllis anymore. You're probably going to be using something like Mediator Coward. So you could do that. You could absolutely, instead of bringing Shadow Knight Pyllis, you could bring Mediator Cowrick or any other kind of cleanser. And then you could even, then at that point, straight up, you could bring Lone Crescent Bologna. You could bring Alencia, any kind of injury unit. Because, like, if you bring Alencia and you just go into Choux, oh, congratulations. You've already won. Like, one hit in and you've already killed. You've already essentially won the fight. Because, yeah, as soon as Choux even gets one injury, she's lost, like, 20% of her damage. And that is huge. Because any, like, Choux worth their salt, they're probably doing somewhere around 5.5 to 6k on S2 follow-up attacks or just regular raw dog S2 attacks. And anytime they're doing anything more than that, those are the ones that you should be very, very concerned. Or you're fighting like either an Omega Whale or just somebody who got really, really good gear. Or straight up you're fighting some kind of a setup. Which, not to spoil anything, but that's actually going to be happening soon. But either way, yeah, like I said, this is just a typical Senya Choux Conqueror Lilias comp. Yeah, Because, like, the Senya and the Choux, they don't really have defense. That's kind of how, like, those characters are made. If you want to, like, have a premium Senya Choux, they'd probably have to have some form of defense or something like that. And, of course, like, hey, let's keep up with the line of the channel. Hey, guys, what if Arunka just, like, cleansed the debuff on her S3? Or, like, I don't know, did other shit other than, hey, the unit's got a barrier. They did... You know what, whatever. It's getting old at this point. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, you go take that nap. You really deserve it. Okay, so this is my first time actually fighting a Ahmed on defense. So I really didn't know what to expect, because I'm not sure how she determines who the S3 goes to. If it's going to whoever the highest attacker is, I think that's actually an error on this guy's part. Because I think if Choux had swift attack, this would be immensely harder. Because Choux is a much, much scarier unit. So, right here I'm judging my thoughts. I'm like, okay, well, how about I just go into the Sylvan Sage, and I'm just going to see if I can straight up kill her with Rocket Punch. Because Rocket Punch just kind of bypasses her shit. So remember what I was talking before about the damage? She has crit damage buff. So that did 9k to my Pyllis. That is terrifying. So we need to make sure that we get her out of this game ASAP. So the goal is do like little hits on Sylvan Sage, and then to do your injury hits on Choux. Because as soon as Choux gets that one S1, S2 follow-up from Alencia, you've pretty much won. So right here, yeah, I'm pretty sure I go for it. Yep, I even get a Death Break. And then Snow Crystal proc, so then I didn't get a crit. That probably would have done about 80% of her health if it crit. But either way, yeah, Sylvan Sage is about to die. And that's the one thing I say, I'm not sure what like a really good Ahmed defense would possibly be. I feel like this doesn't work if there is determination on her S3, because I do know this. Whenever I've used Ahmed in the past on an auto format, she will prioritize whoever is debuffed because her S3 also cleanses. But if there are no units that need cleanses, then I'm really not sure who she aims for. I would assume it would be whoever has the highest attack. And if that's the case, if you wanted to utilize something like Choux, you would have to probably like do a little bit of fuckery with the stats. Because Choux is the actual like terror on this fight. Because a Choux with crit damage buff and with huge HP is actually legitimately terrifying. And one thing here that really, really helped out in this fight, Roana got a lot of counters off. Just, yo, I should have done this investment into a counter Roana. I should have done this years ago. And I just never got around to it, because Roana is one of those really, really weird units that could straight up function off of a free-to-play HP set forever. Roana is, honest to God, probably one of the best Soul Weavers in the game. And she doesn't even do things like Revive. She just gives Revive buff. So, what are we fighting now? Usually, anytime I see Zio, I like to fight that with Ed. And, like, Unbound Knight Arowell, and usually Doris. Because whenever I'm fighting Zio, if I ever go in with one light tank, I run a very serious risk of losing that light tank. Because it's very easy to think, oh yeah, Zio's not that strong. He's just really, really fast. Nah. Nah, Zio does damage. He does quite a bit of damage at that. So, what I was ultimately wanting to do here is I definitely didn't want to use any dark tanks either. Because, like, Savior Adin, like, the only thing that's scary about her, in all honesty, it's just if she has a dark tank. And the reason why I'm waiting so long here to make a decision, I'm actually weighing the pros and cons of attacking Adin right now. Because I don't care if she hits me. I just care if her S2 hits me. And it's the only reason I even say that is just because of the soul drain. I don't understand why that also soul drains. Like, what the shit? Adin quite possibly has one of the most stacked kits for a 3-star spec change unit. It's ridiculous. But then again, you have to always remember, hey guys, you remember all the work you had to do to get Savior Adin? Okay, yeah, I remember. That took literally an entire day because I did like all of the story in one day. I do not recommend anyone do that shit. You will lose your sanity. But yeah, now that we've gotten rid of Celine wasn't even a remote threat. Like, there wasn't anything on this team that, like, Celine was in danger of. And also, straight up, Ed got really lucky. He, like, landed silence both times with his S2. Like, yeah, Ed's ridiculous whenever the luck is in your favor. When you get good luck whenever you're playing Ed, it feels absolutely incredible. But yeah, now that we've gotten rid of Zio and we've gotten rid of Celine, there's nothing that this Savior Adin can do. Like, because the damage just straight up isn't there. She has attack buff, too, by the way. And she still isn't even a remote threat. Because we have damage mitigation and the damage sharing from Unbound Knight Arowell. And then we also just happen to have really tanky units. Like, my Doris is tanky. So yeah, what? That was like almost 5k, because some of it was going to Arowell. Ridiculous. And hey, what do you know? That's the end of the Guild War already. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to really talk about. Not a lot of interesting things per se to really say, but I'm trying to still think of like another unit that I need to have built. I don't know, man. It kind of feels like we just need to have SG do their annual fuck up the meta thing where they do some kind of buff to whatever. Because, I don't know, I think the last thing that they did where they did that buff to A Tywin, like, that was all strictly for RTA. Because, like, A Tywin is really not that useful in Guild War with the buffs that he got. He's still really, really easy to control. And he's not a threat. I don't even see him. Like, he's not scary. Not scary in the slightest. But, like, I'm positive, like, yeah, A Tywin is a terror in RTA. But anyway, hey, sorry folks, I don't do RTA. Like, I mean, hey, hot take here, but I think RTA is like really, really, really boring. But like a big reason as to why I don't like RTA is really just like how it's paced. Like it loads pretty badly. It takes a while to find a match. Drafting in and of itself takes like a minute and a half. And then the matches are also like delayed due to like connection lag and stuff. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that content. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you want to see more of my content, please hit subscribe. I hope to see you guys soon. Later.